Y'all give us a minute to be real quiet so we can do a sound check. Adam, do you hear? Adam, can you turn the middle? Can you turn channel F up a little bit?
Test.
I'm Leah Greenfield, the Executive Director of LifeQuest. Very excited to have a forum today with our mayor candidates for the city of Little Rock. First of all, while everybody's kind of getting adjusted, I want to say thank you to Second Presbyterian Church. It is not every faith congregation that would be comfortable having a political forum in their worship space. So we take this as a special privilege to be here today as guests in this hall of worship. Thank you, Second Presbyterian Church. I also want to say thank you to AARP Arkansas and my new friend Ashley. Ashley, where are you? You're hiding over there. There you are. Ashley McBride became the state director of AARP Arkansas just this past June. So she's been a little bit busy traveling between Little Rock and D.C. But before she came to AARP, she served as the director of education at the American Indian Center in Arkansas. She was a past regional director for mission and education at the Susan G. Komen, Arkansas affiliate. She's a native of Arkansas, of Little Rock, actually, Fair High School, but attended Spelman in Atlanta. So we're really glad to have AARP as our sponsor for today. They have provided an enormous breakfast for us, coffee and pastries galore. So after the forum, if you didn't get a chance right outside the front doors, please help yourself.
Did you catch the moderator's name?
Okay. Before I introduce our moderator, I want to talk a little bit to the candidates and to our guests here today about a little bit of business. At LifeQuest, we love lots of engagement with participants and a lot of questions. That's not what's going to happen today. This is not a class typical of LifeQuest. So the questions have been given to the candidates in advance, and they will be asked the questions in alphabetical order, and they will answer the questions, and we look forward to hearing their independent and unique responses. We will not be taking questions from the audience today, so no surprises. The other thing that makes this a little bit different is, and LifeQuest members have heard me say this a couple times, this is not a debate. The reason we're able to be in this space is that it's not a debate. It's not a debate. It's a forum, an educational forum, which is what LifeQuest and AARP are all about, education. So we really look forward to learning today about what each of these candidates has to say. But we're not interested in rebuttals or counter-arguments, and frankly, we don't have time for that because we have a class at 11 in this space. Today, I'm really thrilled to introduce to you our moderator, Anna Swaim. Many of you who know John Brummett, who has his class in this space in the hour before, assumed it would be John. To preserve his journalistic neutrality, he has declined to moderate today, but we are most fortunate to have Anna Swaim. Anna is a business communications professional with 28 years' experience working in the nonprofit sector of Arkansas. In the community, you may know Anna because she volunteers most frequently for UA Little Rock Public Radio and serves on the Arkansas Committee of the National Museum of Women in the Arts. She is a journalist by trade. She holds a master's degree in journalism from UALR and a bachelor in English from Hendrix College. So today we're going to give each candidate equal time for their opening introductions, their questions, and their closing remarks. And I will be serving as timekeeper. So thank you all for being here. Let's get started.
All right, good morning. Thank you, Leah. Thank you, LifeQuest of Arkansas, AARP Arkansas, and Second Presbyterian Church for hosting this forum. It's an honor to moderate, and I look forward to learning from each of the candidates today. To begin with, each candidate has 2 minutes to introduce himself. After introductions, I'll ask each candidate a question, and he will have 2 minutes to respond. The candidates received the questions in advance. And to reiterate what Leah said, we will not take questions from the audience, and this is not a debate, rather a forum. At the end, each candidate will have 2 minutes for closing comments. And please note that Leah, the Executive Director of LifeQuest, will serve as timekeeper and will give you a notice when you're 30 seconds left in your time and when time has expired. All right, we'll start with introductions. Mr. Henderson.
Thank you. Whenever I was looking at running for this office, I was asking myself a simple question. What do we want this city to be? We could be a great place to do business. That's well and good. We could be a great place to visit. That's really good too. But what I ultimately decided on and what I ultimately thought Little Rock needed was to be a great place to live, a great place to build a family. I've got 2 kids, and so that's important to me, is being a great place to live, a great place to grow generations here. And to get there, we have to do a couple key things, and that's been part of my platform. We've got to, first and foremost, make sure that we increase public safety. Now, public safety doesn't just mean cops on the streets. Public safety means improving not just today, but also tomorrow and the next 10 to 15 years. We've got a cycle of crime in Little Rock that keeps reoccurring, and we have to start planting the seeds to stop that next cycle of crime today. It also means that we have to invest in not just our police force, but also our firefighters and our emergency responders, our 911 call centers, our non-emergency call center. We have to do that all as a holistic program to increase public safety throughout the city. Secondly, and one I think is very important because I've been a downtown neighborhood association president, is we have to invest in our neighborhoods and strengthen our neighborhoods. That means getting involved with those neighborhoods, taking a proactive approach to make sure the neighbors are involved in the city decisions and that they have a say in what goes on in city government. We can't just wait for them to come to us. We got to go proactively and work with them. And finally, I've worked with small businesses for the past 12 years. With small businesses, what they are is the lifeblood of our local economy. We have to invest in them and make sure that they can grow and that we're retaining them and retaining their talents and retaining their business here in Little Rock. Thank you so much for coming out. Thank you, LifeQuest and AARP.
Thank you. Mr. Landers.
Thank you and good morning. I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me back there? Thank you and good morning. I want to thank LifeQuest, AARP, and Second Presbyterian Church for hosting this event today. I'm running for mayor of Little Rock because I want a safe place for my grandkids, for your grandkids, your kids, and our families. I want to be able to go to the movie. I want to be able to go out and eat. I want to do this without worrying about safety for our family. I want to be honest with the city. I'm going to be transparent with the city. And our city, frankly, does not have a lot of that right now. Spending money wisely is something that I'm going to do. I've built businesses all over the world. I've employed, bought and sold 70 car dealerships in my life. And they were broken, and I brought them from the broken part up to a good part. This is a nonpartisan race. I'm not in this. I vote for the right person, and I vote for leaders. Okay, and I have led a lot of guys and a lot of people, a lot of ladies, to be successful in my business. So I want to ask you today for your votes. I want to thank you for coming in. We need a leader in our city. We need a leader that will exactly tell it like it is, and I will do that. I'm not a politician. If you want a politician, I'm not your guy. Okay? If you want a politician, I'm not your guy. But if you want somebody that will go to work every day and be honest with the city and honest with the taxpayers and spend our money wisely, I am your guy. A lot of you got my business cards in your pocket. I've been passing them out. It's got my cell number on it. Call me whenever you need to talk to me. You don't have to wait 6 weeks to get in to see me. You call me on the phone. And so I'm going to be accessible to everybody, and I'm going to be accessible to your needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Landers. Mayor Scott.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much to LifeQuest for having this forum here today where we get an opportunity to share the best of Little Rock. Here today you have 4 individuals who all love this city. Take that and all know that. I'm humbled to be the 73rd mayor of the great city of Little Rock. I can tell you when I took that oath of office on January 1st, 2019, you couldn't have paid me to believe that we would lead through a 2-year pandemic, a summer of George Floyd that eerily reminds us of the summer of the 1960s, snowstorms, historic floods. I tell a lot of people, since we're in the church house, I'm just waiting for locusts to come. And so when you understand that, I love to say this phrase, despite it all, we've seen in 3 years and 10 months, close to 8,000 new jobs, 2 Amazons, 1 in Southwest Little Rock, 1 in the Little Rock Port Authority, Costco, Trader Joe's, Topgolf is on its way, HMS Manufacturing, Trex. We are a growing city from a jobs perspective. From a population perspective, we're now 203,000 people. We're in the top 125 cities in these United States. Please take this away today. In the last 2020 census, only 2 mid-sized cities grew in the South, Little Rock and Huntsville. We're a growing city. And so as we talk about this growth, I want to share with you that my mission, my vision that I've had since we were elected in 2018 remains the same, to unite, grow, and transform. What's paramount is crime and prevention strategy from someone who's born, raised, still resides in Southwest Little Rock, one of the most crime-ridden areas. We have a holistic, comprehensive approach that's working. It has to be continued to be sustained because we're trying to save a generation. I ask you for your vote. For those who want to learn more about our campaign, please go to frankscottjr.com. If you want to learn more about our crime reduction strategy, please go to littlerock.gov/reduce crime. Please vote for me.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Mr. Schwartz.
Is that working?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. I'm Glenn Schwartz. Mayor Schwartz be with you. When I was doing my petition, my lawyer asked me, are you a glutton for punishment? This is the 3rd time I've run for mayor, and yet I'm running for 3 good important reasons. 1, I have a plan to stop global warming. 2, I have a plan to end the war on drugs as we know it. And the 3rd reason, I think, is to bring a space program to Little Rock. Let me go into some details on this. My plan to stop global warming is to replace our coal-fired plants with a thorium-based nuclear power plant or biofuels, and that'll be the first step of stopping global warming. The second step, in regards to automobiles, is to build a city where people are not 100% dependent on the automobile. I got to go in the car and go buy a loaf of bread. You burn a pint of gasoline to go do that. There's a way to build cities. It's called a dense city with villages, kind of like a European style, where you could live in like a tennis village or a bicycle village, where you don't, or go to school in that village, where you don't have to drive a car every day to work or to school or to get your groceries and stuff. Moving on to end the drug war, obviously, we have issue 4 on the ballot. an issue to legalize marijuana. I'm going to be definitely voting for that. I'm 100% for that. And I think we should end the drug war completely and save our justice system and jail space for real and violent crime. And the last thing, I'm going to bring a space program to Little Rock, asteroid deflection project. I think Little Rock should get involved in this because I'm out to prove that mankind is smarter than the dinosaurs.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Our first question today is, what are your plans to ensure affordable housing options for adults of varying income levels? And we will start with Mr. Henderson.
Yes, I think this is a two-part question. First, we've got to look at our housing authority in Little Rock and realize that it's just a system that's not working right now. Mayor Scott has said that he wants to look at abolishing that board. I think that needs to happen. There's been so much infighting within the public housing sector that we need to make sure that we're putting individuals in there that are looking for the best solutions and working to come together for those solutions. Second, and one of our big plans on this is that I think what we have to do is we have to realize the fact that affordable housing only happens if affordable housing options exist. We don't have a lot of affordable housing options in Little Rock, but what we do have is we have a lot of vacant lots. I live downtown, and our lots they're empty. There's a lot of them that are empty. There's a lot of buildings that have been on the verge of being condemned or deemed unsafe and uninhabitable. One of the things I want to do is I want to put in a program to where we're going to offset property taxes for anybody willing to go in and build on a vacant lot or on one of these unsafe, uninhabitable lists. And we're going to make sure that if they do that, we'll delay property taxes for 10 years. But there's a caveat in that. It has to be something where it's affordable for people to live in. We're looking for stuff that's specifically under $200,000 or even less than that if we can. But we have to work on putting plans and putting on incentivizing some of the developers that are coming in to make sure that they're building for Little Rock, or they're building for Little Rockers. They're building for affordability. They're building for the people who want that. We got to make sure the houses exist before we can actually solve the problem. Thank you.
All right. Mr. Landers, what are your plans to ensure affordable housing options for adults of varying income levels?
Well, nothing good can happen with affordable housing until we clean up our housing authority. The promise to clean it up has been made, but we haven't done that yet. Our mayor has not done that. But we spent $250,000 with our housing authority, and we got nothing out of it. So, the city board rejected the current head of housing authority. So we, nothing happens though in our city until we're safe. I keep going back to safety, but nothing happens till we're safe. People want to walk their dogs at night. People want to go out and walk around the pond at night. They're afraid to do that. And we can talk about police not being the answer, but we are 100, from when the mayor came in, he said, I'm going to add 100. We're down 80. We'll probably be down another 20 by the end of the year, so we could be down 200 officers. You got to have enough police force or police officers to patrol this city. When you go out at night, do you feel safe? When you go out to a movie, do you feel safe? I don't. And I know you don't either. And so safety's got to be the top in this. But affordable housing is something that clean cities, everybody I've talked to, the whole 14 months I've been working for 14 months. Everybody I've talked to in every association meeting want the same thing. Clean, safe neighborhoods. They want their kids to be able to go out and play in the yard. They want to be able to walk their dog at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's what I want for our city. I'm going to be a servant to the city. I want to be a servant to the city. The city's been good to me. I want to serve you. And I want to do I'm going to ask you for your participation in these things because I'm a quick learner. I will learn it fast. And I will be working diligently. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Landers. Mayor Scott, what are your plans to ensure affordable housing options for adults of varying income levels?
This is a very important question. As I shared earlier, the city is growing from a jobs perspective and a population perspective. We all want to ensure that a rising tide lifts all boats. But you have to have a boat to be lifted. And so why do I say that? While we're seeing a lot of this growth, whether it's population or jobs growth, we have to ensure that every resident can participate in the progress. The last thing we want to ever happen is for our residents to be priced out of their homes. Being someone that lives in a low-income area, I can tell you that the pricing stock and housing stock is not always affordable. So here's what we've done since we've been in office these past 3 to 4 years. First, we've created a 100 new home initiative with our housing and neighborhood programs department that's within the city of Little Rock. Those 100 homes, we've already started that process. We've purchased close to 35 lots. 24 of those lots already have infrastructure, and we're putting individuals and residents in those homes. Why? Because that's how we close wealth gaps, by ensuring a resident has a home. I tell people every day, the best crime prevention strategy is a job. The next best crime prevention strategy is a job and a home. And when you have that particular opportunity, that's what we've been doing. That's our focus from that particular standpoint. Secondly, we've also understood that while we're focused on the affordable housing standpoint, we have to focus on our brothers and sisters that are unsheltered. And so that's the reason why we've leveraged dollars from the American Rescue Plan Act to ensure that we have solutions for them. Everyone, as it relates to crime, yes, there's crime in the city of Little Rock. We have a holistic plan that's in action. We've seen it go down. Someone who understands what's going on. We don't operate from a spirit of fear. We operate from a spirit of love and truth. While we're not as safe as we always can be, we want to always get better. I can tell you, you can walk your dog at your home. Someone who lives in a high crime area, I can tell you, we want to be a safer city, and you can be a safer city, and we are a safer city. Please don't be afraid. We operate not from spirit of fear, spirit of love and truth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Mr. Schwartz, what are your plans to ensure affordable housing options for adults of varying income levels?
This is a 2-minute question?
2 minutes, yes.
I don't believe it's a legitimate function of the government to be in housing. Having said that, it's not a function of government. However, Little Rock is like the definition of affordable housing. I was watching on the news this morning. They're paying like $3,000 a month for apartments in Miami Beach. We have sections of the city where you can buy a house for about $50,000. These are like entry-level houses. I saw another thing but ownership is very important. If I was talking about dense cities and my plans to stop global warming, if you build like a 20, 30-story apartment building, it's better to build a condo where people own that building, where they have ownership and a stake in the property. And equity. Equity is very important. They rebuilt I think it was East Brooklyn, where they started getting people to buy their houses instead of providing government housing, which I'm against. I'm against government. I don't think the government should be giving housing to people, but we should have a hand in providing entry-level houses where people can build up from a starter house like in Southwest Little Rock and then own their house and have a stake in the community. And that'll be my answer.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Our second question today is, if elected, how will you address the substantial increases in food costs and the number of food deserts in Little Rock? We'll begin with Mr. Henderson. 2 minutes.
Thank you. And one of the things about looking at food insecurity is that the four of us can sit up here and talk all we want, but really we're just one person and we're just a talking head at that point. What we have to do is we have to look at partnerships within the community in order to achieve these type of goals. So we have a number of grocery stores that are looking at closing. That's happening already. We have some more closing. What we have to do is we have to make sure that we're doing everything we can from the city, whether that's property taxes, whether that's leveraging the land bank, anything we can do to help those grocery stores stay in business. Because while we have food deserts right now, we don't need more food deserts. So we have to stop that, and then we have to grow the food options in town. The other thing we can do is we can look at innovative strategies in order to do that. So I've got a client that I worked with several years ago. It's called The Nursery now. And so one of the things they're looking at doing is leveraging hydroponics in order to grow fruits and vegetables, lettuce, tomatoes, things like that. They just got an innovation, they've just got a patent on something that they bought up and have brought the person in to where they can dramatically increase the number of those foods that they grow at a lower price, using less land and turning quicker. As a city, we need to look for opportunities like that, to where we can leverage those innovative ideas within the city, leverage individuals working within those communities in order to solve our food problem. And lastly, I think the one thing that goes unseen in this is that we also have to make sure that we're looking out for our unhoused and our homeless individuals, because food cost is not a problem whenever you can't afford food. That's just a bad issue right there. They don't care about how much the food cost has risen whenever they can't afford it in the first place. So we have to make sure that we are meeting the needs of those individuals in order to solve their problems and allow them some upward mobility in life in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Mr. Landers, if elected, how will you address the substantial increases in food costs and the number of food deserts in Little Rock? 2 minutes.
Thank you. The first thing I'll do is work directly with Director Kathy Webb. She's over the Food Hunger Relief Alliance. I will increase the density to attract grocers in these, as we talked about earlier with the housing. We got to do something to get more houses, clean lots, and safe lots. I will work with builders, developers, to try to make that happen, to increase the density in those neighborhoods. But then we got to also work with our homeless and our panhandling guys, because a lot of those cause those grocers to want to get out of business, because they outside their stores doing things that frankly the customers don't want, and it's maybe not safe. But so safety goes all back to safety. Our city has got to be safe for businesses to want to come here. Nobody's done more business on this whole panel than me as far as building and doing business. So I know that they want to go to a safe area, and I know that the people need the quality of food that these stores will offer. So I will, in fact, work diligently to help Edwards go in where Kroger left out. Where Kroger left, I called them the day that Kroger announced it, and I said, y'all need to go look at the store. Now they're fixing to open a store. And so I know how important that is. And so the working with Kathy Webb will be a big thing for me, and working with all the directors will be a big thing with me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Landers. Mayor Scott, if reelected, how will you address the substantial increases in food costs and the number of food deserts in Little Rock?
Well, thank you. What I can do is share what we've already done since we've been in office. First and foremost, I think it's very important to paint the picture, this word food desert, and we talk about it being in our city. Food deserts in our city are located south of 630. I'm the only person who's grown up south of 630 and lives south of 630 and understands what it means to experience a food desert. Having family members and friends understanding that this inflation, as I would hear from them, is kicking my butt. And when they shared that, is because with the working poor and the poor in general, any increase in cost affects the home. And so when oatmeal is now $3, bread is skyrocketing from a standpoint of that standpoint, it really hits home to everyone. And so knowing that we've had food deserts, that has been a goal of mine as we have worked with the city board to do a number of different things. One, we always are recruiting grocers south of 630 because normally everyone would talk about there's a need for a grocery store on 12th Street. Need for a grocery store on 12th Street, need for grocery stores in Southwest Little Rock, need for grocery stores on Colonel Glenn and Asher, which is very important. And so we continue to work with grocers to locate there. In addition, we've leveraged our American Rescue Plan Act dollars to allocate $1.5 million to have a true comprehensive plan for the historic area where food deserts happen. And we are working with City Director Kathy Webb, who's going to be leveraging those dollars that we've already allocated. It's not a quick fix. Having grown up in that area and seen the changes, I'm glad I've been blessed to do something about it these 3 years. We've allocated money. There's more work to do, and it doesn't happen overnight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Mr. Schwartz, if elected, how will you address the substantial increases in food costs and the number of food deserts in Little Rock? You have 2 minutes.
Again, it's not a function of government to be messing with where the stores are and what the people are eating. This is like, people do that. If there's a food desert, then the people should get together and do themselves a food co-op. We had one of these. I went to college at Florida State, and we created a food co-op to get fresh food and wholesome organic kind of food to the people, to the students and stuff. So I think I'm just going to wrap it up on that. I don't think the government should be involved with who's. Let me say one more thing. I am from Southwest Little Rock, by the way. I've been down there 30 years, and our last. And our last store was a Bonner's Grocery. And Bonner's and Sawyer's, we had the last truly independent, one store owner down in Southwest Little Rock. Now they've given up the ghost. So no, it's not the function of government to be providing food or to tell people where they're going to locate their stores. You just need to have people be brave and open up a store with as much security as they need to keep that store from being, stolen from and stuff.
All right, thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Now, moving on to our third question. What is your plan to make Little Rock a safer place for pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists to get around? Mr. Henderson.
Thank you so much. Let's start with motorists because I've got a much more detailed talk about cyclists. With motorists, one of the things we have to do is we have to stop letting RDOT, the Arkansas Department of Transportation, run over our city and bulldoze our city. They continue creating divides. They continue to look at what's best for Benton Bryant, Conway, Lone Oak, Jacksonville, North Little Rock, and not about what's best for Little Rock itself. I was on a lawsuit suing RDOT from Downtown Neighborhood Association because whenever they were doing 630 crossing, they came in and did not take the residents in mind. They've created traffic problems throughout the area, and they have had no accountability for the impact that they create. So that's key that we have to build for Little Rock, not for the surrounding areas. Secondly, with regards to pedestrian and bicycling transportation, I feel lucky to have the cycling community embrace my ideas throughout this whole thing. And so we've worked together throughout the entire campaign to try to build a better picture of what cycling and pedestrian transportation can be in the city. I think the first thing we have to do is we have to say that cycling is not just for recreation. Walking and running is not just for recreation. It can be used for transportation, especially whenever we build denser cities with secure bike paths and secure walking paths to go on. We've got three main options that we're doing. Kind of look at it as like a freeway, a highway, and a city street. From the freeway perspective, we have something called the Southwest Trail. That was a nice collaboration between a lot of different counties to pull that together. That's happening. The two things that haven't happened are the highway and the city street portion of that. That's the Central Arkansas Greenway system, which we have yet to put in a plan for using, and the Complete Streets program, which is connecting these individual areas, individual parks throughout the city, and we've made no progress on that in the past 4 years. We have to make progress in those areas. We have to be a leader in Central Arkansas if we're going to be the biking, the pedestrian hub that we need to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Mr. Landers, what is your plan to make Little Rock a safer place for pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists?
Well, increase patrols, enforce safe streets. Street racing, caravans, doing donuts out in the middle of 630. I've seen that. They do it on the middle of Asher. They do it on the middle of Henson. They do it on Chenal. Just out in the middle of spinning their cars around in the middle of the night. It's not safe. So they ride four-wheelers up on two wheels through red lights. I've seen that the last 14 months. I've seen cars go 100-plus miles an hour down Henson, down Asher, down Baseline, and we've got to stop that. We've got to stop it. So we've got to go back to a little bit of work on our traffic laws. Our traffic receipts are down over 33%. This last year, over 33%. So we're not writing tickets. Why are we not writing tickets? Because we don't have enough officers to write those tickets. So making sure that we have a safe streets. Without safe streets, we can't have safe neighborhoods. Without safe streets, we can't have safe neighborhoods. So we must work on our traffic laws, and we will do that. I mean, we will do it job one. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Landers. Mayor Scott, what is your plan to make Little Rock a safer place for pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists?
Well, thank you. When we talk about pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists, it's all about the mobility of the city. One of the great things about the city of Little Rock, it's 124 square miles. So it's a lot of geography, a lot of terrain, and we have to embrace the fact that, yes, we will always be utilizing the vehicle for quite some time, but there is growing sentiment to have more usage of your cycling, your running, your walking, and we have to ensure that it's safe. That's number one, that's paramount. This is what we've done since we've been in office. We've helped work alongside the Bicyclist Advocacy Central Arkansas Association. We work with them to create our Complete Streets Ordinance. That ordinance has been passed. We continue to work with them to implement it as we continue to look at our city globally from a 124 square mile standpoint. So that particular policy is there. We're very proud that we've been a leader not only in Central Arkansas, the state of Arkansas, as it relates to that Complete Streets Program ordinance. Secondly, our city has dynamic trails from a recreational standpoint. We've seen, when you talk about, you really want to see Little Rock, go to Pinnacle Mountain, and you'll see the entire city, all its diversity, all socioeconomic status, and they're going there for what? Walking on trails, hiking, things of that nature. And so we're proud that we've been working with Pulaski County Judge Barry Hyde, and we'll be working with them as we connect to the Southwest Trail. Secondly, we've worked with a number of different organizations to ensure that we now have River Mountain mountain biking right here, not too far from us today. So we continue to focus on how we have more dynamic walking trails, cyclist trails, mountain biking trails, because we understand that quality in life in place is the new economic development model. And so if we're going to be focusing on trails and cyclists and pedestrians, we have to continue not only that it's safe, but it's coordinated. And for anyone who lives in Hillcrest, check out the new Kavanaugh pop-up bike lanes that we're doing right now. So before they happen, we want to make sure we don't do things to the community, we do it with the community, and they get an opportunity to see that happen. So please give us feedback on that bike lane project in Kavanaugh. It's a pop-up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Mr. Schwartz, what is your plan to make Little Rock a safer place for pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists?
First, I want to thank Mayor Scott for raising the speed limit by University Avenue, by the university, from 25 to 35 mile an hour. I mean, it really helped a lot. The biggest thing about driving safety is this. People talking on the telephone while they're driving, I think we should have strict laws against that. And and people that are texting while driving, they should be dragged from their cars and summarily shot. I mean, why don't I just read a book or a paragraph out of my book while I'm driving the car? Bikes. Of course, I'm a big fan of bicycles. As I mentioned, we should have villages. Some of them should be dedicated to just bicycling, you know. One thing about bicycling, though, is I don't trust the cars behind me. If they lose control, if they're drunk, if they don't see you, and you get hit by a car from behind on a bicycle, you're dead. So I like bicycle paths that are like independent of the automobile traffic. Having said that, they put a bicycle path on Louisiana Street. This was before your time there, Scott. But they took Louisiana Street, that used to be a great one-way street leading out of downtown, and they turned it into a one-lane street and 2 lanes of parking and a bicycle lane. And that's just trying to be something to everybody. And as a result, downtown is suffering from moribund circulation. That should be returned to a 2-lane street leading out of downtown with synchronized lights. That'll help the downtown area, which is like dying of a heart attack. It's so hard to get in and out of downtown. One more thing, there's a sidewalk on University that stops at 19th Street. It should be extended to the University of Little Rock.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. And now to our final question.
Okay.
As mayor, how do you plan to involve citizens, especially older adults, in local decision making? Mr. Henderson.
As I said in my opening statement, one of the things that we have to look at is how to make Little Rock a better place to live. To live. Not visit, to live. And so one of those key points in that is that we have to, as a city, proactively work with neighborhoods. I've been a neighborhood association president. I know what that looks like. I know what happens when neighbors in the city work together hand in hand to solve problems together. When neighborhoods and citizens are part of the solution to the problems that they have and are working with the city in order to solve those solutions. The problem we get into a whole lot is that it's not that way. It's not proactive. It's reactive. The government works really well with us, the city works really well with us when we come to them and say, hey, we need help with X, Y, and Z. They work really well when saying, hey, we've got a crime problem over here, or hey, why don't you come join our neighborhood association because we're trying to get you to hear some of the ideas that we have to tell the government in order to make a change. We've got to make that step the opposite. We've got to start working proactively with neighborhoods, proactively with citizens, and proactively within the communities in order to get those ideas, put them into action, and make sure that we're hearing the voices that are out there wanting us to listen to them. That means working through our city directors. They're our eyes and ears out around the city. That means working within neighborhood associations. Neighborhood associations are a great way to find out what's happening in your neighborhood and hear the needs of what's going on. And that means working with groups like LifeQuest here, because you all are here because you're concerned about your city and you want to have your voice heard and your ideas put into action on what you think is best for your city. I'm not going to stand up here as mayor and say, this is the way it's going to be. I'm going to listen to you first, and we're going to build ideas together to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Mr. Landers, as mayor, how do you plan to involve citizens, especially older adults, in local decision making?
Well, you know, in our city, we have directors. You all have a director. And they're the mouthpiece to come to the city. So I would encourage the engagement with your directors or me as your mayor, because I will give you my card. You can call me, and I'll come see you or talk to you. Okay? And it'll be just that quick. Something I said earlier, and it's something I will do. Neighborhoods and the city board members must be involved. But in the last 14 months, we engaged with directors. The engagement with directors is important. I'm going to be a mayor that listens to you. I'm going to be a mayor that listens to you, and I'm going to be a mayor that works for you. I'm not going to go to work. First, I'm going to drive myself. I'm not going to go to work down there that I don't go to work to work. I've spent my whole life working, and I know how to work, and I know how to solve problems. I know how to lead people, and I know how to. I'm not a slick talker. If you want a slick talker, I'm not your guy. If you want a politician, I'm not your guy. If you want a doer that will tell you the truth, I am your guy. And so my record has proven that, because I couldn't have stayed in business that long if it wasn't a good business. And my customers were the people that walked in that I took care of every day. As a mayor, the citizens will be my customers, and I will take care of you every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Landers. Mayor Scott, how do you plan to involve citizens, especially older adults, in local decision making?
Thank you. It is critical that any leader listens to the residents of Little Rock. Residents of Little Rock are my bosses. And that's the reason why these past 4 years we've gone over and above to ensure there was greater access to the city of Little Rock. Whether that's attending the 190 plus neighborhood associations every week, whether that's ensuring that we always work with our city board of directors, whether that's making ourselves available to organizations like yourself. We have to understand the feedback that our residents want. We've done that. We're grateful for it. Secondly, I think one of the things is we were here in 2018. I want to give a shout out to some members of the City Board of Directors, Director Cappy Peck, BJ Wyrick, Doris Wright. as well as, I believe, Kathy Webb, who were all a part of this process called the Age-Friendly Co-working Group. When I got into office, we were able to take that co-working group and make it an actual commission. It's now a commission that deliberately hears from our seniors here in Little Rock. Out of that work, we understood that it was past time for the city of Little Rock to not have a senior center, where we have residents of Little Rock that go to North Little Rock for a senior center facility. We're happy to report, after working with the Age-Friendly Commission, after working with the City Board of Directors, and proposing through the American Rescue Plan Act, we now have allocated $3 million, teamwork, City Board and myself, $3 million to develop a senior center. That's because we listened. We'll continue to do the same thing that we've done and even more. As someone born, raised, still reside in Southwest Little Rock, I'll tell you a few things about myself. But the grace of God, I would not be here. I'm supposed to be either dead or in jail based on things that have happened. So what you have in this person, you don't have a slick talker. You have a blessed man, grace and favor from Southwest Little Rock, who's now humbled to lead this city, to build bridges, to unite, to grow, and to transform. And all praises be to God. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Mr. Schwartz, as mayor, how do you plan to involve citizens, especially older adults, in local decision-making?
Well, one of the primary job of mayor is to run the city director meetings. The mayor is the chairman of the city director meetings. And I know parliamentary procedure, and therefore I would be good at that job. I also have kind of a motto that, short is sweet. I want the meetings to be as short as possible. Don't let people drone on. There's a natural tendency for older people to be more involved in government because, after all, when you're younger, you have got your job and your family, and you got a lot of commitments. But older folks kind of naturally gravitate to become more involved. Look at our presidential candidates this last time. One was 74 and one was 78 or something. So I think that's a natural tendency for people to get more involved in the government as they get older. I myself am 68 years old. So, if I'm going to get involved in the betterment of mankind, I need to do it like this year. I think I'll end it on that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. All right, that concludes our questions, and now we will have time for each candidate to make a 2-minute closing remark, starting with Mr. Henderson.
Going throughout the city the last year, I've heard the constant conversation of, I don't like the way we've been, but I don't like the choice we have. I'm here to tell you there's a better choice in this election. You don't have to choose between a rock and a hard place. You can choose somebody who's going to listen to you, bring the best ideas our city has to offer together, and put them into action. You can choose someone who's willing to build on the progress that we've made and not tear down all the bridges that got us there. You can choose someone who has accountability and transparency and trust at the forefront of every single decision that's made. Trust is the hardest thing to get and the easiest thing to lose. And I think that's the reason why there's 4 of us up here right now. We can build on ideas. We can do better. There is a better choice in this election, and I'd really appreciate your vote for that better choice. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Mr. Landers, your closing remarks.
Okay. You know what? Something was just said about the mayor running the directors. That's not going to be me. I'm going to work with the directors daily because they're the ones that's going to be talking to you. And I'm going to work with them daily to solve the problems that you have. I know how to handle problems. I've employed thousands of people. I know how to handle problems. I've ran businesses all over the country. I know what it is to work. I'm in this race because, frankly, I lost a son 2 years ago, and I got 2 grandbabies that are not safe in this city. My wife's 80-year-old aunt walked across the street to the grocery store, was stomped by 4 guys, stomped, and her purse stolen. That's why I'm in this race. I want to take care of everybody. I want to take care of you and everyone else. And only a phone call away. Our city's not safe. We're the second, no, we're not second, we're the first. On the internet the other day, we were the first most dangerous city in the U.S. per capita. The most dangerous city in the U.S., ahead of Memphis. We don't need to be known for being first in that. We need to be known for a place that's safe. Nothing's going to happen. Nobody's going to move their business to Little Rock, Arkansas, because they're going to look at our safety problem. We've got 70 homicides. 70 homicides already. We're tracking the most that we've ever tracked in history. We average about 7 homicides a month. And so by the end of the year, we'll be in the mid-80s. So that's why I'm in this race. I'm not in this race because I'm trying to make money. I'm not in this race because I want a job. Because frankly, I was happily retired. But I can make a difference, and I will make a difference. I need your vote. I need your vote for a difference in Little Rock, for transparency, honesty, and for spending money wisely. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Landers. Mayor Scott.
As earlier today, as I shared, the mission, the vision remains the same. It's to unite, grow, and transform the city of Little Rock. You're talking to this Parkview Arts and Science Magnet High School graduate. Should not be standing here today. Blessed to be a banker, was traveling from Southwest Little Rock to Ranch Drive every morning, seeing the inequities in our city, who said, we want to do something about it. We are blessed to be in office, despite all the challenges, again, of a pandemic, things that we would have never wished for. What I learned at that period in time is that every leader has to be prepared for the unexpected and the uncertainty. We've experienced challenges, mistakes, lessons, but despite it all, we've grown. Despite it all, we're more united today than our city's ever been before. We're growing even more than we've ever been before because of the collective, each of you, who choose to live in Little Rock, who understand that there is no quick and easy fix to anything, but you have to have a true plan that's in action, which we have, that has to be sustained. Not only is my mission and my vision is to unite and grow and transform this city, it's to save a generation. For someone who gets the phone call, all 70 homicides, it pierces my mind and my heart when I go into prayer, been to the funerals, to understand that the fix is education, the fix is a job, the fix is a holistic approach, understanding mental health, and we have to have leadership that gets it firsthand, being someone who has had family members literally in the passenger seat of a car over these past 3 to 4 years, and their friend was murdered right in front of them. If you don't think we don't get it, you got another thing to think about. But we know it's about uniting, growing, and transforming. We've been able to do that. We're going to continue to do that with your vote. I sincerely ask each of you for your vote. Please learn more about us at frankscottjr.com. I appreciate you, and God bless.
Thank you, Mayor Scott. Mr. Schwartz, your closing remarks.
I want to correct that. We are not the most dangerous city in America. New Orleans, Washington, St. Louis are all more dangerous than us. Somebody manipulated the statistics and said we're the most dangerous state capital in America. So New Orleans, Washington, St. Louis, none of those are state capitals, and they're all more dangerous than Little Rock. So we got to be a little brave here. But I'm running for mayor to bring the warning. I think that global warming is real. I think we're going to have some sea level rise. And I believe that Little Rock, who has had experience, I've been here 40 years, 1% growth per year, which is fine, but what happens if we have sea level rise and there will be millions of Americans along the Gulf Coast and Atlantic coast looking to move inland? We must be prepared for a period of exponential growth. I mean, to where Little Rock might end up like a city of 4 or 5 million people. And how we build that city is very important. and also that we need to commit ourselves to stop global warming. And I have a plan for that. I got a degree in physics from Florida State. I got a plan, thorium nuclear power, build dense cities, get people to be not dependent 100% on their automobiles. So these plans are why I'm running for mayor. I'm running for stop global warming, end the war on drugs, put violent criminals in prison to serve out their sentence. Right now they serve like 1/3 of their sentence. They need to be serving a lot more than that. I want to get Little Rock involved in the space program because it like gives a goal to people. It like gives us something to look forward, to look up to, and we'll, like I said in the beginning, I'm going to prove that mankind is smarter than the dinosaurs. Glenn Schwartz, Mayor Schwartz, be with you.
All right. Thank you to the candidates again, to LifeQuest of Arkansas, AARP of Arkansas, and Second Presbyterian Church for hosting this forum today.
All righty.
Lynn?
Thanks for the paper.
Thank you.
Y'all, there is so much food. Please get some breakfast right outside the front doors. There's pastries and coffee provided by AARP. Help yourself.